22nd of March, and it is Moon Day, the day after Sunday, where we should have come to say hello, and we did not. Yesterday's cast was cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. Kevin wasn't able to join, and I didn't want to come on initially on my own and waffle on unnecessarily. So we're going to do it today, and we're going to be constructive, and we're going to share this first. So if I can just wait for everyone to pick up the link. If you'd like to share this, it may be somewhat useful if you are in receipt of furlough benefits and dealing with the government, Secretary of States and Home Offices in various forms. All right, so if I could just go and you bear with me 1 minute while I set up and then get you the material to hand to read upon. All right, on this broadcast. We are live, that'll do. I'm just going to put it in the Facebook domain and onto the .com, onto SPL's Pro. Look at the thumbnail. What is that about? What is that thumbnail for? That thumbnail is of what? A certificate of birth, date of birth, surname, national insurance number. That's how they do business in the United Kingdom. So that's why that thumbnail has been used. We have a high definition breakdown of certain parts of the birth certificate of birth, and the areas and what those data fields may contain and what they're used for. And when you claim your credits as a beneficiary, when you benefit by having credit paid to you by the government, you will be more than familiar with those three main areas: surname, date of birth, national insurance number. And as I've pointed out on previous videos, when anybody public or generally commercial ask for a date of birth, they're asking for your person. And to keep it simple, you know, a man would have a birthday or a born day. We say, to be correct, you are born by the waters of your mum. So for those of you that want to just remember a birthday, you know, that's not correct, because a ship is birth, but anything like the date of birth being asked is for commercial monetary reasons. So the Department for Work and Pensions will ask you for the date of birth, you know, and they'll go through, for security reasons we need to take down some details. All right, so you can give the details of your person. One way I get around this, or have got around this, not that I claim benefits or my person claims benefits, but for commercial public enterprise requirements and data security passing, I say, oh, you want the details of my person? I will give you the details of my person. If they question you in any way, the first response is, hello, are you legally trained? No, you're not. Okay, then we'll continue on. And don't let them challenge you on anything. You know, we the principality of the source of credit and the beneficiary are present at the same time. So if you want to separate in your sovereignty and the way that you do business, then you can separate, okay, your person from you. A proclamation of sovereignty explained, parts 1 and 2, giving it you all there, okay. And the date of birth, my date of birth is hearsay, to be fair. And think about it, you have a registration date, all right, which is not the same. So we get mixed up. Just to clarify something else we found out and stumbled upon some years ago, the day that mum and dad, or mum or dad, go to the general registry office and actually register with the registrar, the bondsman of the government, the United Kingdom Corporation, they on that date create the citizenship. So you know, the way that it's worked here is, you could even argue that the actual correct date of birth for the legal person is that day that mum and dad go to the registry office, sit down, and the exchange of titles and you know, rights and everything is done there. And then you would argue that the say it was the 1st of January when mum gives life to young David, and I am born of the waters of my mum, the 1st of January, and we go to the registrar's office for registration. I am but a wee born young man, fresh, you know, wet behind the ears, and mum goes to the registry office, say on the 20th of February. that then is the date of the citizen, the citizenship, the registration date. The person is crafted and born, the birthed as a boat going into the sea. That instrument and the titles are exchanged on the 20th of February, even though the incarnation and the passing of man being into this realm was of the 1st of January. So anybody wanting to argue dates of birth in general there and born days, you know, we keep this separate. I don't need to be taught. In fact, I've kind of taught you certain things, and we've taught each other how we would reference and utilize the implementation of the instrumentation. I am sometimes known to be a person when it is of benefit to me. Okay, so this is all we're doing here, and this is part of your political, you know, civil, cultural beliefs, religious, Abrahamic, and human rights. So there's a lot of a spectrum for you to argue why you are not. Plus the legal liabilities, you know, and anybody wanting you to take that up with full liability, they need to answer why. So we say, you know, when we autograph, and we would put by David, and then put all rights retained, because a legal person cannot retain all rights, neither can they sign, neither can they autograph, which is why it is a sign of nature. And we show you how to retain and reserve all God-given unalienable rights, which is one way of signing without full liability or any liability. Again, if anybody questions you, you know, you'll notice a signature always starts with a capital letter, and then it goes little letters and you squiggle off, don't you? And then the surname maybe DG, capital D for David, and then the big G, D, and then Jeremita. But if you just put by David, by Nonna, by Menza, you know, then that's it. By autonomously, by means it's, you know, so then that's not a signature, it's more of an autograph, and all rights are retained. What is an agency? It's a sea, as we've brought to you with the boat people and water and things like that, you know, an agent, A-Gent-Seas, and relationships. So ships reside on the sea, the seas of commerce, and we're going to take some time to you know, to let anybody that is actually involved in the protest movements and movements of rights, you know, I use it loosely, liberties are given to sailors, all right, and they're given to, liberties can be taken off you, as I did with the Ghostbusters 2 post, and the good vibrations of the quantum mechanics going back to the year of 1989. Not all of you will have benefited by that joyous post, but it's relevant, and you need to recognize certain aspects of that. Liberties, they're given to sailor. The Statute of Liberty gives me no comfort at all, or liberties given to me. Civil liberties, you're here mentioned, your civic duties. You are civilized, part of a civilization, so civil law in a civilized nation. So the nation is civilized, or the state, the land mass origines that are assumed to be legal persons by default, assumption and presumption, are part of a civilization, and a civilization is something which is under civil law there. So I did say that Oxford English is being commanded, not legalese. My authentic sovereign sovereign beings, previously doings, all right. So man is, in my opinion, I am an authentic sovereign, internationally sovereign being, or even a doing, rather than sitting here doing nothing. I'm being nothing, sorry. I'm actually going out and doing lots of things. So human, non-legalese, non-Black's law simply means colour of man. It doesn't mean monster. It does in legalese. But if you're not a boat person, and you're not an attorney at law, and you're not authorised to speak and use legalese, and you're not in the legal London Temple BAR, then we're an idiot to some extent with regards to legalese. We do not have the authority and rights to use it, and neither will I ever use it, except to break it certain things down to you. So a hue man is a colour of man in the Oxford English, and for the purposes of clarity and the avoidances of doubt, then man is commanding Oxford English and not legalese, and do not convert it into legalese, okay? And God, remember, is no respecter of persons. Individuals, all right, and man is a noun, An idiom of man is a male person, an adult male human, a good-looking young man, the relationships between men and women, the men's team, game, double, singles event there. And you know, you can also see best man, dirty old man, green man, ladies man, leading man, men's room, and new man. And your favourite of all, the straw man. The term natural person, all right, God is no respecter of person. And I've said that in equity, they use the position there of natural person. Equity maxims, you will find something about a person slumbering on their rights. It aids the vigilant and not the one that slumbers upon their rights. And equity can only act legal equity, not ecclesiastical, and not lawful, Abrahamic. Legal equity only acts upon the person. With God not being a respecter of persons, to be a natural person is a bit of a red herring there, but it can be beneficial in some circumstances for you not to be the public all caps trustee and refer to yourself in legal terms as somewhat of a natural person. And you will see you know, person, entity, definition of natural person. It's a noun, an individual human being with consciousness of self. All right, a human being as opposed to a legal person, which is an entity or a group considered collectively as a single individual for legal purposes. Origin 1175 to 1225 comes from Latin persona. All right, so if you get your Latin dictionaries and you do your etymological references, word searching and etc., and when you are communicating this to offices, agents, Department for Work and Pensions, A-Gent-Seas, agents in general, then you can be the principality of the source of credit, you know, and you can also be the all caps. You can be the date of birth, the surname. You can be many things, but if you are aware of what you are doing, and if you want the liability, then do so in certain ways. If you don't want the liability, then you present yourself and you correct the relationship. So as we've taught you with trust technology, the relationships can be corrected in many ways. The first and simplest is to express and verbally correct, dissolve the constructed, you know, form, and then put everybody in their place. Follow it up by paperwork. Your paperwork will precede you to the relevant offices. All calls are recorded for training and legal purposes and for legal liability. So when you do anything verbally, I'd inform that you are recording the call. Let the agent know the call is being recorded for your protection and safety. If you're in a position where you're not well and you're dealing with the Department for Work and Pensions, which is a private corporation, which is operating as an agency under the Ministers for Health and Social Care, under you know, Theresa Coffey for one, and the Home Office and social aspects of the government, their social care, social and Home Office remits hire out for many and various reasons. We could go back to Thatcher and the quasi-trust type implementation of the Thatcher era, the implementation of what's happened, quasi trusts, and then privatization and corporations coming in. So it looks like it is a department of the government by calling itself trickily, cleverly, as Kevin has pointed out on this show and cast and channel and through our private chats, Department of Work and Pensions. Is it the government? No, it is not. Is it a private business? Yes, it is. But it calls itself Department for Work and Pensions, like it's hiding under or it's connected to a department for the government, and it isn't. It's operating as an agency, and it has materiage up all the way to the ministers and to the First Lord of the Treasury, Boris, and under Elizabeth herself there. And all of this is governable, as you've seen with the accusations against Priti Patel being labelled a bully, to the ministerial code, the force of law, the rule of law, and we've learned to jump and hopskitch from common law to trust law, and then keep at the trust with the correction of the relationships, put you in the principal creditor seat, put the agents in the trustee seat, switching it up, and then including a lot more protection for you to retain your rights and enforcement to hold them to account. So we've done the introduction, and for some of you that aren't up to speed, Blue Man's You can look after the chat room there if you wouldn't mind. You can see relevant posts on the Facebook public trust, on SPL's pro private domain, and you can also see on Indiglo community pages, and you can fill your boots there with all of that. But there's something sad to bring to you. We often, you know, come to you with topics that aren't easy to bring to you, and this is about a suicide recently that's been brought to us, and I'm now struggling to find with failings. You've posted it on the Facebook trust, and you've posted it on the private domain as well. So I want to just get some moments here, and let me get to the channel. Let me shout out who we've got in the house: Salim, Nonna, Alias, Menza, Snafu, JJ, Black Cat, one love, one and all. I'll get to your comments afterwards. I've got a purpose here, and I want to stick to the thread. I don't want to be here all afternoon, but I need you to hear this, and I want to know what I've said at the beginning. I'd like you to give me your feedback about the DWP being accused of gross incompetence after a benefit claimant's inquest. Disability Advocacy Group calls for inquiry into benefit-related deaths following coroner's verdict on 27-year-old mum. The Department for Work and Pensions is facing calls for an independent inquiry into benefit-related deaths. If you have got any issues regarding credits, benefits, and you'd like to talk to us in confidence, you can join splspro.com for a £12 credit for the year. You can go to the homepage of SPLS Pro, and if you are stuck for promises and credits, you go to the blue F and you join our free Facebook trust for the time being. And you can also join us on these chats, and you can utilize our general email inbox if you want, which is contact@splspro.com, and then we will collate in confidence the stories, the reports, the facts of the matter there. Let me get to it. And we're already aware, Kevin and I, of quite a lot of the failings and horrific situations that have been brought on by trustees disclaiming their duties and failure to the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries, you there, okay? Yeah. So let's go. The Department for Work and Pensions and the related deaths here. Inquiry into benefit-related deaths after a coroner said financial distress caused by the administration of welfare benefits had been the predominant factor in a 27-year-old mother's decision to take an overdose. Okay. Philippa Day died in 2019, 2 months after overdosing on insulin, following what her family's legal representative described as a long struggle over her personal independence payment benefits, that's PIP abbreviated, and that was a claim that exacerbated her mental health problems and left her hungry and without money. In a virtual hearing at Nottingham Coroner's Court, Assistant Coroner Gordon Clow gave a narrative verdict on Day's death. He said he would issue our prevention of future deaths report to the Department for Work and Pensions, a move that suggests the department has lessons to learn from the case. It is expected to call on Department for Work and Pensions to consider and address timely mental health training for call handlers. These are what we call agents at the agency, aka call handler. Improve record keeping and assessment processes, and ensure correspondence is accurate and does not create further stress. Coroner Clow listed 28 failings made by the Department for Work and Pensions and Personal Independent Payment Assessment Contractor, Capita, some of which were repeated errors and which he said could not be ascribed to individual error alone. Now, if you are being helped by me, some of you in this chat thread are being helped right now by myself, our private trust, Kevin, myself combined. I'm going to get to you. One of you is already here, and I've just texted you beforehand, and this is exactly what we're dealing with, and it's happening far too frequently and far too often. So we're going to find the silver lining on this poor mum's passing, all right. And we don't glorify any of this, and we don't we don't take this lightly. But the 27-year-old mum there, did I say Philippa Day, we give love and respect to, and we're going to try, all of this isn't the only suicide. This is going to be one of many suicides, and not the last. The home pages and what we've discovered recently, it makes us sick, all right. So rather than these outcries for, when you hear seeing London and marches and protests, we don't exactly agree with protest, but the right to lawfully object we agree with, and the right to have your voice heard, and we will give you certain aspects of that, and we'd like to look at making noise together as one in voices, and get in touch with, and we will effect and manage maybe alongside with others and join forces, all right. So all these situations are getting more frequent with regards to being left in the brown smelly stuff below the poverty line, and rights ignored, massive failings and breaches, and nobody's being held to account, starting right from the top of the First Lord of the Queen, and then her assignment to the Queen has assigned government and parliament to run the United Kingdom. So even though she's at the top, she's assigned the government to run it. So we look at the top of the government, Boris, First Lord, okay, under QE2, and we look at the corporate crown layout, the ministers, the mini-stars, and the commissioners. They're the executives, and they are the principals with the PLE ending, all right. You're the principal with the PAL ending, all right. And we look at coming all the way down to Theresa Coffey, all right. And there's a reason for that. And even in Scotland, you'll have Theresa Coffey governing your payment systems there. You'll have Capita and Atos and the Department for Work and Pensions, England, Wales, Scotland, and I'm not sure Northern Ireland, quite possibly. Could we get some confirmation on Northern Ireland? Even though we've got somewhat of a dissolved Stormont Parliament over there. So we're going to look at holding to account, and we know exactly where to go and how to do this. I want to continue with this, reading. Fazailet Hadi, head of policy at Disability Rights UK, said it was time for a broader investigation of the impact and the handling of claims had on vulnerable people. It says here, we'll say beneficiaries though to be correct. An independent inquiry into benefit-related deaths is long overdue, she said. Philippa's story is heartbreaking and reveals gross incompetence by the Department for Work and Pensions and Capita. These are the facts of the matter, not my opinion, okay? Agents and moderators of this channel. The Department for Work and Pensions must take responsibility for safeguarding. It takes the money and it makes the profits. So by that same, premise, it has to also be held accountable. It is in contact with millions of disabled people with a variety of complex and physical mental conditions. It needs to put care at the heart of its process to ensure it actively supports our needs and protects us from systemic harm. Last year, a National Audit Office investigation found the Department for Work and Pensions had received 4 prevention of future death reports from coroners over the previous 7 years, 2 of which were related to suicide. I think that's a conservatively low number, and in reality, if we all face the facts and the truth of the matter was come to light, I think that figure's been massaged somewhat, and it would be in the hundreds, if not thousands. This is what they know of. Okay, this is what they can actually say on their books officially. It also found the department had investigated 69 suicides of benefit claimants since 2014 to 15 inclusively, but cautioned it was highly unlikely the figure represented the number of cases it could have investigated. The inquest into Day's death heard that an application she had made for the PIP benefit, or for PIP benefit, had not been received, and that payments of her disability living allowance benefit had been stopped, causing her to fall into serious poverty, anxiety and despair. Now, we hear of that far too often in everyday conduct. Myself, Kevin, through the private domain and through Facebook, we hear of this, and you're asking for help in speeding things up and what to do with regards to work capability assessments, applications getting lost, and delays within the Department for Work and Pensions, Capita, Atos, Maximus, etc. The Day Families Legal Representative Specialist Law Firm, Lee Day said calls to DWP had not been dealt with in accordance with the department's safeguarding policy for service users voicing suicidal intent. So if you are unfortunate enough to feel like life is not worth living, now this is why I'm here right now today, after failing to come on yesterday, to balance the scales and to say this, because others will read this and not everybody reads it all, and it's hard to digest, and sometimes you skim over stuff and you don't take in and digest the key parts there. Let's just stop. And if you are unfortunate enough to be struggling financially, feeling low, suicidal, under pressure, feel ignored, left out, and you are in that situation now, we can give you this information. We can't, obviously represent everybody and fix everybody all at the same time. We'd like to, but I'd like to give you this information first, and then you know where to find us and we can help one another. All right. The DWP had not been safeguarding or looking at its safeguarding policy for service users voicing suicidal intent. So if you let the agent know at the A-Gent-Sea of the Department for Work and Pensions, and you tell them that things have gone on for too long and it's not fair, you can't manage, you can't go on any longer in limbo. You have done everything required, you've sent everything in, and if you don't get some money and some payment and some help and some assistance soon, then you're going to seriously consider. I don't want anybody to be in this situation, but there are people, our family out there, authentic sovereign womb man, I'm speaking at ease, but there are beneficiaries out there of the Department for Work and Pensions that are checking out because they haven't got the fight to carry on, and they can't be bothered, and they feel left alone, they feel neglected, they feel ignored, they feel like they're a burden, they feel embarrassed. Some have only just come into the benefit, they've never dealt with benefits before, but after the last 12 months and the furlough system and this COVID and virus fracas, it's disgusting. So some of you haven't dealt with these agencies and agents before, and you've come along, you've always been in credit, you've always had an income, you've probably had a business, you've been comfortably self-employed, you've had everything to live for, and then all of a sudden you've got nothing to live for, and you feel what would you feel? Embarrassed, maybe. You feel that things have gone out of control and you have no way of stopping what's going on, and you're at the mercy of telephone call center operatives. So yes, you would voice the fact that you're at the wit's end, and if something doesn't change soon, then you are considering. And this is where it should. This is why we're here. Nobody should be on the phone to somebody after paying in all the tax and all the statutory SERPs and national insurance contributions, when you're on your bottom and you're on and you've done nothing wrong, and you've always, or it doesn't matter if you've always been in credit or not. If you need help and you've paid in and you ask for help and you don't get it, where's the excuse? Those are the terms and conditions of the contributions that everybody pays. So they have a policy, all right, the DWP, a safeguarding policy, and you'd ask them to look at their safeguarding policy for service users. All right, you're not a customer as such, but you are, because they're a corporation, you are actually the principal and beneficiary, but don't use words like that to them unless you can articulate that effectively. So just say that they have a safeguarding policy for service users voicing hard times and possibly suicidal intent. Or it might be that if you don't get any money, you're going to be evicted, you can't eat, and you're going to get sick anyway. There's no need for the suicide part, God forbid. But the point is, if you don't get help, then you're going to be chucked out on the street. You've got no food to feed yourself or any dependents that you might have, and this is now getting to the end of the line. They use words like hardship as well, but we don't, this channel and I, David, we don't like using that. So that's important just to reiterate there and spend some time on. All right, the firm had, and if you're helping anybody, a lot of you are, and a lot of you have got big, solid, sovereign hearts, lion hearts out there, and you'll get on the phone and you'll be with somebody, because quite often the time it takes on the phone, and sometimes when you've been on the phone an hour and it takes you all your strength when you're depressed and suicidal and about to give up, and you sit on the phone and you wait, and you know, this monotonous music playing, and then the agent just hangs up. And you're like, no, that in itself is enough to destroy somebody, because it's taken them all that time and effort to get on that, you know, telephone, and then the never-ending cycle, a never-ending cycle of corruption, alias, but of that loop, and then to be hung up, you know, that happens an awful amount, a lot as well, a high amount of times. So try to get someone to be there with you, family members especially, or someone who's a best friend that you can ask for help in confidence and record everything. And our free Facebook domain is there to help you. Kevin loves this kind of stuff. He's not actually available at the minute, but I will step in, and he's trained me up well, and I'm training others up well. So as a collective and a legion of lions, we will give you the information. There's a lot of good souls out there that can give you the text-based information. And if there's anybody that can help us with resources, donations, and to help us, you know, manage this effectively 24/7, then you go to our homepage and you'd press donate, and we'd utilize that money to get me and Kevin and others and build up the resources and get this sorry state of affairs. I might use some curse words in a minute, so if there's any young ones and blood assets around, put your headphones in, move to a room where there's no little blood, all right, because I'm going to find it hard to keep this on the straight and narrow. The Day Family's legal representative specialist law firm, Lee Day, said calls to DWP had not been dealt with in accordance with the department's safeguarding policy for service users voicing suicidal intent. The firm added that it had taken months for Day's DLA, disability living allowance, to be reinstated, and that she had been refused a home visit for assessment for personal independent payments against the advice of her community nurse. So now we move on to something else we see all too often, that we've talked about on this channel a high amount of times. And when you are not very well and you are on disability living allowance and you're receiving personal independent payments, you know, you would then decline the offer for the work capability based assessment. You would say that you require a home visit. You'd ask if it's mandatory, you know, after, you know, initially conditionally accepting the offer. It is just an offer, all right? So offers can be accepted, or they can be conditionally accepted, or they can be refused. We like to conditionally accept all offers, and you know why? Because it keeps you in clean hands, it keeps you in honour, and it puts the liability back on the claimant that's telling you, which is an agency working for in partnership with the government. It is not the government. So, you know, just bear that in mind. So when they've asked for a PIP assessment at home, a work capability assessment, that's been denied. And they've had the backing and the advice of a community nurse there as well. So again, we hear this all too often, okay? And it's not a health, well, yeah, it is a healthcare. They call it a medical assessment, but it isn't a medical assessment, because it's nobody with any medical qualifications, as Kevin and Golden G's work. You know, this is not Indy's work, not David's work. It's become our work, and it's been incorporated into what we do because Kevin and Graham have shared it with us, and they've got the conditional acceptance process, as a great deal of you will be aware of, down to a few sentences rather than chapter and verses. So we have all this to give you for free, and we will not hide it behind a paywall, and it will be given to anybody that wants it. It does reside in the private on SPL's literature library and resource vault, but if you get into Facebook, we will email you that out. We refuse to hold it on Facebook because there are groups there charging silly amounts for help, and people that are on disability benefits and so forth, they should be helped for free. It's part of the clean hands doctrine. There's various unconscionable ones out there that take our work and either sell it on or re-edit it, rehash it, or just pass it on as their own. So we will help you in the ways we can. You're free to go wherever you want, all right? But we've got this down to a fine tooth comb text, and principles of how this works and the times that it takes for. So a conditional acceptance is normally the best way to go, and asking for a paper-based assessment, and then working. And some of you on here can actually vouch for Kevin's techniques, and a lot of you have been helped and had payments reinstated. It does take a while, but we have got it down, you know, to he has got it down with Graham, to a streamlined process, and we have this in the bag. So when I read this, I thought enough's enough, and as we didn't go live yesterday, I wanted to get in from the day's doings today, and this was the first thing that I wanted to bring you. All right, so you are allowed to have a paper-based assessment. Yes, you are. Ask them on the phone when when you can't get in there. Ask them if it is mandatory to have this assessment. Now, who are you asking? You're asking the Department for Work and Pensions, the organ grinder, not Atos, not Maximus, not Capita, but the Department for Work and Pensions, the organ grinder. All right, if any of you have done this or had a good result, I want you to put your comments in now on the live stream, on the feed, in the chat room, or even afterwards on the replay, because it will be beneficial to a great many. And if we can just save 1 or 2 lives, then the knock-on effect you can save, etc. You've got a channel, you've got the groups or anything. Share this information, share this video, discuss it, and strength, in numbers and with the correct knowledge and the processes. It's not complicated, it doesn't cost anything, and it's being done, and we have it in the bag. So those are the reasons for home assessments, PIP, and the mandatory reconsiderations. We've got the rulings on that. When they make a decision and you don't agree with it, then you can immediately on the telephone call back up when you get the news through the post, and the mandatory reconsideration can be requested on the telephone. Kevin informs me it is 3 weeks, 15 days, but because of COVID and the virus and what's going off, they now say it's gone up to 5 weeks. So Kevin has told me to tell you, ask for the legislative changing of that. When they say on the phone, yes, you can have a mandatory reconsideration, then, ask them how long that will be. It should be 3 weeks. If it's gone to 5 weeks, we'd like the ruling for that, and where it is in legislation that it has been changed. Where did they let you know it has been changed to 5 weeks? If it is 5 weeks, so be it. But give us the proof of that, please. Let me continue reading this, and I'm going to go to your comments, and then I'll look at your questions and your praise and grumble afterwards. So, a letter from Department for Work and Pensions confirming the refusal was beside Day when Philippa, it says Day there, but Philippa Day, when she was found collapsed after her overdose of insulin. So the circumstances behind finding a mum no longer alive after what looks like an overdose of insulin was a letter from the Department for Work and Pensions Corporation, and that was confirming the refusal of, so if some people had a bit more information or just a bit of support in the community, that mum might be alive now. That family would still be solid and whole. So, for me, a little bit of information, it goes a long way. Lee Day, partner, Mary Varney, said the inquest left no doubt that errors made by DWP and Capita had materially contributed to the death of a much-loved mum, sister and daughter. The facts of the matter. All right. She added, my clients hope the changes the DWP and Capita have committed to make are done promptly and thoroughly to protect other families. The Department for Work and Pension spokesman said Philippa Day's death was a deeply tragic case. But words are cheap, I'm sorry, but a DWP spokesman. Moving on. Our sincere condolences are with Miss Day's family, and we will carefully consider the coroner's findings, they said. They will carefully consider. Great. All right. The spokesperson added that the department would also respond to the prevention of future deaths report in due course. A Capita spokesperson said the outsourcing giant also extended its sincere condolences to Day's family. Not good enough. Not good enough. You take the profits, apologies. Talk is cheap. It's great, the intent there, but it doesn't bring a family member back. Mass failings, and it happens time and time again. It's time to be held to account. Moving on, we would like to apologise to them for the mistakes made in processing her claim and the additional stress which was caused to Philippa, the spokesperson said. Apologise? What does an apology imply? It implies what? If you apologise to somebody, it means that you believe you're guilty. You've made an admission. A public apology means there's a fault. You've got a public admission of guilt there. We have strengthened our processes over the last 18 months and are committed to continuously working to deliver a high quality, empathetic service for every claimant. In partnership with the Department of Work and Pensions, we will act upon the coroner's findings and make further improvements to our processes. The NAO, I believe that's the National Audit Office, produced its mini report on information held by DWP in relation to the death by suicide of benefit claimants after then Work and Pension Select Committee Chair Frank Field raised concerns about the department's response to his own inquiries in October 2019. Now I'm going to give you the actual news story and report. I don't like using those words, but that's exactly what it is. There you go, for you to copy now, and you can go there. That's where I'm reading the story from. That come from Brother Bert and a few others via SPL's Facebook and also the private domain. So you will find that if you search keywords from this story, you will find that easily. All right, so I'm going to go to the chat room and see what you're talking about. Be careful what you say here. Keep all of the person sensitive data private, please. All right. I'm going to go to the top. We'll do it how you like it. Alias, Salim, Nonna. Hello from Scotland. Snafu, thank you. Okai the new bro. Mr. Menzies, yes, alias, what are we doing? Person Interpretation Act 1978 is a corporate entity. Also look at who did I post for you? Lord who? Edward Coke, corporations, persons, entities. Look at Lord Coke and what I've put there. You'll find that in a proclamation of sovereignty explain, and you will find that all over the domains that I frequent. This one, Indies community pages, the .com and Facebook. Okay, so the act there, 1978, that is valid alias. I'm not arguing with that, but also look at Lord Edward Coke, search for it yourself, and look at what I've said. V Ace, new scribe, thank you. Person and trust is one of the same. Explain more. Person, persona, Latin, legal instrument, person, companies, natural person, juridical person, lots of types of person there, all caps person, and trust. What type of trust are you on about? It's a bit ambiguous there. I don't agree. More information needed, but thank you. Good effort, and carry on. It's not malicious in any way. It's just ambiguous to say the least, and it's very much more complicated than person and trust are one of the same. I only use my person for certain services. Well done, alias. That is indeed the correct implementation of the instrumentation and liability and etc. Anyone know, are we entering into a contract if we fill in the census? The census, Mensa, in my opinion, is a private corporation. Again, it's not the government. You're handing data over voluntarily to a private corporation. I believe you are consenting and you are entering into an agreement to. So I wouldn't say a contract, because we've come to learn a contract is what, yes, and it's not a constructed agreement. So you're entering into a trust, an agreement, a type of a trust, a constructed trust, all right, and that's my opinion, and that's with a private corporation, much like the Department for Work and Pensions, much like Ipsos Mori, much like a lot of the ones out there, the HMRC. Everything is an offer, bang on. Alias 69, an offer. You have offers for a vaccination at the minute, and you have guidelines, don't you? What? They made it that if you don't fill it in, you paid 1,000 fine back in 2011-ish. Oh, a bit like the electoral roll, and that's a legal obligation for the occupier. I think you're fine, and for the occupiers, you know, legal. There were ways and means of circumventing this. I'm not going to say that now, but we'll talk about that in the private. You can know safely, much like we've done with the TV licensing, a private corporation that insist that you are legally obliged to have a license. How are you now? Okay then. So we have ways around that too. So again, not for the public. A few years ago, I blurted this out. You have to find it in the archives. Black cat, good afternoon, pussycat. Jesus had fun telling people you didn't have to pay the fine. They had fun telling me you do. Indeed. Black cat curled up on my knees at the moment, says Menza. Too, black cat. I've had to send back my person senses. It was glossed over. Indeed, it's glossed. Glossary of terms. Glossed indeed. You glossed round the edges. Got a cancellation from the hospital. Just business. Sorry for the inconvenience. R.I.P. Thanks. There are going to be many more suicides coming. Agreed, Jesus Jones. Debt. You know, as we and ourselves and our consciousnesses step out to the private and to the protection of, you know, what we've brought to you, there are many out there that deserve some extra help and some time, and we can stop this misery against alleged debt as a bankrupt nation that's insolvent, you know, and as we've proven there, and Richard Werner and others have, we can easily dispel the myths about debt with regards to whom you are. That's why I'm doing the video off the back of Know Thyself and the Vatican Owns Your Soul, and bringing out the excellent Neville Goddard and the Manifestation 5-day course that I found from 1933 that we're 6 hours in so far and not completed with. So we're throwing it all out there, all right, and collecting it all up into significant, relevant pieces for you to take at your leisure, at your own speed, and for you to not use so much all on this chat, but for others, new scribes and the family that may be suffer, endure, allow, you know, and we're going to stop you from suffering and enduring and allowing, and we're going to return the power back to you. And as soon as you hold them to account, things change pretty quickly and things turn around. Once Kevin is back on the scene, we'll get him on with me, and you can hear his unique way of talk and his positions and the way that he views things. You know, I don't do it enough justice. This isn't my bag, but I'm prepared to carry it and work with you on this and just reiterate. But yes, agreed, there are going to be more suicides and deaths and depressions and anxiety and family breakups and children going into care, and we can't even, you know, hang around on that. We're going to sadly agree, Menza. Yes. Hello, G-Man. Jerry's in the house. Jay, Ollie, it's about time you went blue. Let's do that now. Oh, Shankar, Nonna, okay, I'm ringing you after my my Scottish mum, if I may say that live. Causing harm, administering property without right. I like that, G-Man. I like that a lot. I know a local landlord who knows 15 people who have committed suicide. That was 3 months ago when he heard that. Ah, yeah, I see. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We need to hold these to account. Not so much the agents. If you're an agent working for the DWP and you've somehow come across this information, video and channel, you wouldn't be held to account. It would be the managers, the chief executive, the chief financial, the chief operations officer, leading up the way to past Theresa Coffey, up to the ministerial cabinet, up to the Lord of the Treasury, all the way up to Queen Elizabeth that has handed it over to government and parliament, and the line is there. So it would be Boris and all the ones underneath that. And we'd like to do it together. Anybody else? It's local groups and charities. I'm gonna start nudging and saying, often we get ignored, much like at Christmas when I brought out Jim. Somebody had come out as a spokesman from somewhere and said how many suicides were happening when the beneficiaries were waiting how long for benefits, and they were actually dying before they got paid out. Jim, somebody, he was the ambassador for come on, Ambassador Jim Downton, actor. Who was it? You remember that we brought out? Ian Duncan Smith, knighthood for taking off again. So it stems from well done, Crown, Privy Council and etc. members. Makes me sick. So there's a lot of backlog here that we've got to pin this upon, and there's a pathway of saving money, costs lives generally. And when we print money and we're all bankrupt and it's just basically credits, promises to pay, we could print to infinity as Master Rishi is doing at the moment. Superb, Jerry. Yes, I'm scrolling down. I'm nearly at the end of your chat. 2 solicitors here jailed for fraudulent loans using homeless people's ID. Wow. Yes, Kev is a top man. Thank you for that, alias. 33 minutes late from Stephen. Salim, the child maintenance service, DWP, are still pursuing me for the payments they say I have owned for nearly 10 years. They had incorrect date of birth, national insurance number. There you go. You see misalignments, null and void. It needs to start again. They're not pursuing you. They're pursuing you if you let them. They're pursuing your legal person, and they've made errors, and they need to correct that, and you need to start again. So we'll talk about that privately, but thank you for giving me a summarization for the chat there. We have sent notices, and he has actually effectively kind of administered that to some extent on behalf of his person. Well done to you, Salim. Well done to all that have done that. Simon, nice one, brother. Nice to see you nice. They're now investigating you through HMRC. There's my link for the Civil Service World News. Andrew Rhodes had a formal notice under GDPR regulations regarding PIP. He bottled it, and within 5 days I had all benefits reinstated and backdated. Alias 69. That's the power. You see, formal notices. You can start with a complaint, but complaints can be ignored and put into the bin. So you can initially, and I'm not giving any legal advice here, but avenues of holding to account, letting the complaints department know that you're not happy, but then serving notices simultaneously. So notices are not complaints. They are, a formal notice is a formal notice. This is not, a letter, and it is not a complaint. It is what it says on the tin under the doctrine of notices. So it generally does get passed to the complaints department. The complaints department have the power to overturn. So going through the motions, you could actually do 2 things simultaneously, should you wish, or you could just notice and hope your notice doesn't get turned into a complaint. So you can cut to the chase and actually let the complaints team know that you have noticed the Andrew Rhodes and the officers, principals in the offices there for them, and under the regulations regarding PIP, general data protection rules. I'm happy to hear that 69 or 369 even. It's changed. You've changed. An independent inquiry into benefit-related deaths is long overdue, she said. Philippa's story is heartbreaking and reveals gross incompetence. Says it all. Yeah, it does. We need to eject them, reject and eject, and have some kind of independent, or we could control it. Why not an app? Why not automation? Greg said this to me, the webmaster of SPL's Pro. He says he could not, he's not volunteering, but he can envisage in his mind a system. And we've got thumbprints now that can be read. I'm not saying this is the way, but you could digitally. You've got phones that recognize faces. All right, your mon visage camera, bump. There's only one of them. There's only one of these, each one, and you got the technology to read, to identify. A bit like the same. I know it's digital, but the same as when you put in your thumb, your seal, your mark, and you're doing your autograph across it, and you are authorizing and giving your stamp, seal, mark equivalent. Yeah, you could do that digitally, and then we could have pennies. You control the credit, and everything could be automated. But much like Mossack Fonseca, the bank of BCCI, the banking BCCI scandal, foreign offshore sitters, trusts and shell companies, this is why they do it like this. It's ineffective, it costs too much, and it's costing lives when I say costing too much, and then financially costing far too much. So it could be done digitally. We could overhaul all of it and get it done instantly within hours. High frequency market stock trading we use for referencing. It's illegal. They're not allowed to do this kind of frequency stock trading and marketing, profiting in the liquidity of the market in tenths of a second, frequently hours and hours of the day. But I appreciate that's gone over a lot of your heads. But high frequency stock market trading, billions done every day, seconds. Yeah, when it's commercial, it's done like that. When it's civil and it's private and it's for, you know, it's still commercial because it's companies and agencies with the government, but it's not as highly commercial as what, you know, market trading is. It's kind of private and it's to do with homes and families, you see. So it's commercial, private, domestic. Commercial, domestic, it doesn't happen. We have to, you know, recognize there are systems there that could be done. There's apps and technology and authorization techniques, and they already are doing it now. Okay, so all we've got to do, it's only our acquiescence that allows this. The amount of deaths that are happening at the minute is because of our acquiescence and our lack of action. And as I've pointed out with Neville Goddard, the manifestations of reality and what's going on there, lack of action. Men's is addressed to the household. Will soon. What's that? Will soon. Will join soon, mate. Came on 8:30. Long time no see. Long time scribe. Much love for you. Know thyself. 369. Slingshot. Brother Indy. Yes, I much love to your old Barnster. What? Albie. Yo. Joining the Dots UK. Thank you. Much love. It's an old 1990s t-shirt. You can tell me what this t-shirt, who wears this? You'll be in my high spirits. Not so much advertising. It's nothing to do with COVID, Corona, Wuhan. But yes, I thought I'd come out in some colour against this backdrop so I can stand out and, you know, caught up with all your comments. So another thing that's been brought out, Russell Kane's video that came to my mince pies last night whilst falling asleep, defacing and messing around with a statue can get you 10 years, possibly maximum amount of 10 years at Her Majesty's pleasure for that civil infraction. But yet rape of a woman has a term of about 6 years. And Russell Kane was out there, and I thought I must re-mention this to the scribes and say, caning, wash, bang on. He was swearing a little bit. I posted the video, I think, on indie community pages, and I did it on the .com or in Facebook definitely, and I've yet to transfer it. But this video incorporates the shit show there of the ignorance of rights, and however you would deem a statue more worthy than one of our princesses or queens, our omegas getting assaulted. Incredible. The system in itself, the law being an ass, indeed it is a big ass. So again, it just goes to show you how the legal system operates there. A civil infraction of damaging a non-living object, an entity such as a statue, and then an actual flesh and blood family member getting attacked in a most heinous way, next to death, murder, common law assault, and equitable damages done to physical flesh and blood, authentic, you know, man being, and that carrying a 6-year sentence. Work that out, you know. It's beyond most of our comprehension and cognition how this works and why. It's not that we're here to second guess the high courts. Yes, it is here that we're here to second guess the high courts, because you is the most high, to be fair. Hong Kong Phooey. No, it's not Hong Kong Phooey. It's an old anime from back in the day. An old anime show from back in the day. I don't want to advertise it, but those that know may know. Powerball something, letter, was it? Dragon Ball, I'll just leave it there. Is it Dragon Balls? You like your Dragon Balls? I read a 25-year-old Midlands police friend, 500 quid for the tag. 25-year-old Midlands copper fiend, 500 quid. I don't know what that means, Jerry. US prison threads. Denim was invented, those that like to wear the denim, when denim was invented for what? Hard wearing material for the slaves, for the various slaves and those in various prison camps. Prisoners. Denim was invented for prisoners because it was hard wearing, long lasting, and easy to wash. Adidas. Adidas, three stripes. Three stripes denotes a prisoner back in the day. Okay, so all those wearing, if you've got a denim Adidas, I'm saying that how it is, all right, but the brand is easily identifiable from that, all right, then you'll be doubly whammied in many ways. But I try not to advertise any kind of brands and promote, and I try to be in my sovereign regalia or something non-offensive and pleasing to the eye. It's a £5 shirt that I've had for about 3 years. All right, so again, there's a lot of controversy in the news, but this here is something that we would like to see. Do you know what an agent and an agency and the relationships are there, and how to correct them? You know, agency relationships. If you're on the private domain with us, you will have a lot of information there. If I just simply go on to DuckDuckGo and read you something. Like this. 1 second. There's a lot of places. I've got stuff on the .com for you. Agency relationship, everything you need to know. An agency relationship consists of the principal and the agent, where the principal gives the agent legal permission to act on the principal's behalf. All right. We can define the principal-agent relationship. There is a principal and agent responsibilities, or we call them duties, all right, and they disclaim duties and they fail in their duties to provide for, and that would be the beneficiary. Questions about agency relationship. An agency relationship consists of the principal and the agent, where the principal gives the agent legal permission to act on the principal's behalf. In this type of relationship, agents should not have any conflicts of interest in executing any act the principals appoint them to do. This relationship that exists between principal and agent is appropriately called the agency. The law of agency has well-established specifications for this legal relationship. The law of agency permits individuals, okay, so I'm helping you out here for those that are strong enough to go on their own. I'm giving you some nuggets. The law of agency permits individuals to hire others to do their job, sell their merchandise, and purchase property on their behalf, as if the principal were there in person. The principal can give the agent authorization to perform several duties, or the agent can be curtailed to do particular tasks. No matter what the tasks are, the authority given to the agent is representative of the principal and the principal's control. So allegedly these payments, they don't just come out of thin air. They come from the Treasury Department by issue of the Home Office and Secretary of State, and they're given to the Department of Work and Pensions to then hand over to you. But where does the monies come from? The Treasury. But where does the monies come from? The Bank of England printing it and giving it to government, and the Treasury having it. What else are there? Treasury direct accounts, quite possibly so. In that case, what's the birth certificate got to do with it, David? That is a financial instrument, okay? It's an equitable instrument. You have the equitable asset, which would be the signature, the sign of nature. When anybody wants in a commercial realm to obtain payment, okay, they will require a signature for that to be authorized on behalf of the straw man, which is the birth certificate. The birth certificate, the legal person, the straw man, the estate, the date of birth, the surname, etc. So this birth certificate on the thumbnail there has got a lot to play, because that is watermarked. It is an instrument that carries a charge through it. The charge is the currency. The currency is the watermark. The watermark denotes current charge, you know, and currency. So it's a bit random and long-winded, but those that have been with me a while know exactly what we're on about. So all the source, the principle comes into play. The principality of this, thumbprints, P-R-I-N-T-S and P-R-I-N-C-E, princes, principality. By man coming into existence and they're being issued at the General Registry Office by the bondsman under a non-disclosed agreement, and title changes and etc. to the Regina, registration, We get into that, and I've explained that enough. We'll briefly skim over that. By you having that document and that document existing, then there is a, if you weren't born by the waters of your mum, okay, then there wouldn't be any certificate. No certificate, then no equitable instrument. These instruments are looked at as vehicles. All right, you've got lots of vehicles that move around. I know it's paper, it's still a vehicle, and it conveys. It's a conveyance of information, conveyance, public conveyance, transportation conveyance. No, special purpose, general purpose vehicles for, and they carry and they convey, and they are marked in many ways. Top right, red, fidelity.com, etc. And you've got these vehicles, so it goes deep. All right, you need to know, most of you, yes, G-Man, SPV, and you need to know how this where this credit comes from. You're worth your weight in gold. We're getting to the end of this, and I mean it, we are very much at the end. So that's why we have principal, you, and the principality of the source of credit, the surety, David and Jeremita. We are not the defendant, creditor and debtor. All right, so it goes a long way, and we've brought biblical connotations in to bring this to you, and I put some found some absolutely stunning Bible quotes and renditions that some of you have had kittens, little baby lions over, and lionesses, regarding my preamble to moving to the private, and the reasons why we would do that abrahamically, biblically, equitably, lawfully, ecclesiastically, legally, and with the human rights. You've just gone like, that's it, that's the one, we've got it. Layers up, at least 4. So that gives you a little bit, if you didn't know, about why and how, and monies, and it's not all coming from the Bank of England. And I'm seeing a repetition of something that I've posted there, some information. I didn't want to give it all away, but Stephen, you've been paying attention, and your attention is boom, executor dissuntort. I'm going to move on because we could be here a long time. We need to keep this practical, but I'm happy to see that. I'm very happy to see that. You search these keywords on the internet, on our private domain, in our forums, you will find a wealth of information. When you get these documents from our trust, and you're looking through them, press Control and F, put those keywords in, and it will take you straight to the paragraphs of where we've referenced this. And if you're looking for something in particular, and you don't want to go through all of the 80,000 words and 100 and something pages of the documents we give out, or whatever place you seem to be, government, private, public, internet based, and Control and F, and then you find it straight to the point. All right, and then research that particular area that is applicable to you. The law of agency permits individuals to hire others to do their job, and the merchandise. All right, so we're going to move on, defining the principal agent relationship. The official stipulations of a particular principal agent relationship are generally specified in a contract, but that's not really a contract, it's more of an agreement, but legally they call it a contract. All right, but these contracts are actually agreements, and it's actually offers and trusts constructed. The principal agent relationship consists of any consenting and capable parties for the intent of performing any legal undertaking. If you have an assessment from the Department for Work and Pensions and one of these affiliated agencies, and you're not very well and you signed off, then one would argue that you may not be able to be held legally liable if you're in certain medical terms associated with your position, your handicap there, your less ableness, you're on medication, and then you're signed off sick and ill. How can a private corporation interview you over the phone and hold you liable and accountable for what you say in a legal capacity when you signed off and sick and on medication, and you've got doctors' reports to say so? So by you volunteering to have that, okay, and not conditionally acceptancing, is then overdoing, and then with what you've got, you could make stick on a paper-based assessment with a conditional acceptance, all legally, all lawfully, but you choose to go ahead and try to fight it over the phone. You volunteer to have a non-medical, yes, assessment, which is a healthcare assessment, which they call a medical assessment, but it's not done by a doctor. It's not done by anybody with any medical qualifications and or insurances. You override what you've already got by consenting voluntarily for your own volition to have that telephone assessment non-medical assessment. So, you know, you can't be held liable on one side of the coin when you're signed off and you're not well, and you can't be held accountable. If you're signed off for mental less, you know, disabilities, and you're on neurological drugs and so forth, and you've got counsellors and that, then definitely you shouldn't be having that telephone call, and you cannot be held liable for that under the terms and conditions that you have evidence for. All right, so there are reasons why you shouldn't volunteer. In plain terms, the principle of the agency relationship is a single individual who appoints an agent to perform certain duties. There are agency relationships by this description that can have principles that are corporations, non-profit organisations, government agencies, and partnerships. The agent is usually an individual who is adept at understanding the tasks that are delegated by the principal and can execute the assignment with no problems. So not like the DWP then, because they're obviously getting it massively wrong. And so are their agencies. Simple instances of the principal-agent relationship are commissioning a contractor to do home repairs, hiring an attorney to do legal work, employing an investment advisor to diversely, you know, perform and contribute and build a stock portfolio. In these situations, the principal is the individual requesting the assistance of a professional, and the agent is the individual performing the skilled work. Frequently, principals are business owners that commonly employ or choose other individuals to carry out jobs on their behalf. Agency law supplies the set of rules controlling the manner in which the agency relationship functions between a principal and an agent. Principal and agent responsibilities. The principal-agent relationship produces an association that is held in trust among the parties involved. Fact: whether the principal-agent relationship is explicit using a written agreement, contract, loosely termed agreement, or is insinuated through deeds or behaviour. This indicates that the agent who becomes employed to operate as a representative of the principal is to perform the appointed duties with the principal's well-being as their prime concern. Actual authority. The express power granted to an agent by the principal happens when the agent performs a duty representing the principal and they rationally assume that the principal wants this deed done. Express authority is the instance where the principal instructs the agent on what and how things need completing. Implied authority is when the agent takes the necessary actions to achieve the purpose of the agency. The principals are able to restrict the agent's jurisdictions or invalidate them if they want. Yes, they are. That's where we step in and help you do this. For instance, a principal who had originally assigned an agent to buy a parcel of real estate, you know, land, property, can change the instructions to curb the agent's privilege to lease the property rather than purchasing it. Agents are duty bound to finish the jobs assigned to them. All right, so when we say they've failed in their duties, exactly, duties and fiduciary capacity, they have a fiduciary capacity to look after the beneficiary. Beneficiaries should not be subject to torts. I won't say suffer, I'll say subject to. The beneficiary, you're having a tort now. Tort law, torture, in itself a whole new world. But they are duty bound. They are held by common law, international law, trust law, you know, agency law, law of agency, human rights, and so forth and so on. There's a lot here, all right, but so basically they cannot harm the beneficiary. You're getting the benefits, you're benefiting by having money paid, you benefit by having credits and promises in this bankrupt society of ours, in this civilization, this civil law. So agents are duty bound to finish the jobs assigned to them by the principal, providing the principal contributes plausible instructions. They have that, it's done. Also, it is expected that the agent is able to complete the jobs with a particular degree of expertise and caution and will not purposely or carelessly finish any task in an appropriate way. That's happening a lot at the minute. An obligation of allegiance is also insinuated as part of the principal-agent relationship, which necessitates the agents avoid placing themselves in situations that lead to or prompt discord between the interest of the principals and the agent's own interests, conflicts and so forth, failings, egregious failings. So if you've got questions about agency relationship, I hope that has somewhat clarified it. If you've never heard of that before, then I hope that has done you some good steed and put it into good measure. You will find more out on our two domains, all right, and through the chat panel here. There's no legal advice being given. You know, we're simply passing off our knowledge through trust law and equitable remedy that we've come to find since 2015. You know, everybody is a trust law expert now and knows everything about everything, but they didn't 5-6 years ago, and we was all running around in circles quoting Magna Carta and common law and how things have changed. Yes, that's not solely down to I or our trust or our movement, but it's down to this channel and other channels like it, the consciousness joining together. And we've got to admit we're in the brown smelly stuff. The Home Secretary questionability from Priti Patel in the news, ministerial, international and homegrown common law, trust law, and all of the laws surrounding Matt Hancock, questionable, court to be, breaking the rules. Okay, Boris Johnson, questionable, EU, international and so forth there. Lots of controversy. The royal family being labelled racists. Okay, Nazi uniforms being worn at parties. Enough's enough. We need to band together. We need to share this. I want to see thumbs up. I want to see sharings. I want to see fist bumps and hearts. We will continue to give away, you know, the subject of our life's work, and good men like Kevin and Graham and scribes like yourselves, and will continue to make this a no-brainer. With regards to me having a chat with the brother from Life in the Mix, I will let you know when that happens. Thank you, Simon, for that link there. I'm going to honour the request from my channel supporters, those with the icons after their name and fancy little there's not many of you at the minute, but that doesn't matter. I've asked a question, and one of the feedbacks from the question was, can we have a chat with Life in the Mix, and can you two join up? It's just gone past 1,000 scribes, and it's a small channel like this one. We're going to have two northern men talking about many things that interest you there. If you've got any questions regarding that or what you'd like me to post, then now's the time to let me know. Subjects and topics of getting back to see Brother Robert from the observation deck regarding warrants, orders, goods, control, you know, taking control of goods. So that's happening. Oh, boom shanker. And a Swedish man called Jan on a health, wealth and feeling better, holistic, hermetical aspect. I'd like to say Raymond Reif, Victor Schauberger, and such things as that will be brought to you. Victor Grebnikov, Victor Schauberger, Raymond Reif Technologies, and Hermeticism, Principalities of. So that's 3 Hangouts podcasts that are coming up. They won't be live, but they will be premiered to you. So I need to know in advance questions to those in no particular order. So on Facebook or the private domain splspro.com, you'd let me know there, or via email. Those of you that have emailed me over the years, you've got my email, contact@splspro.com. You'd send me the questions there, and I will honour that, and we'll make sure we'll talk about topics that thou wants to see. All right. I am 42. I've been doing this now a good, 15 years, and solidly it's coming round full circle after the last 7, 2015, that's 6 years within trust, ladder, and what we've come to respect there. I'm not associated with Richard Ansar. I'm not here to advertise anybody else but myself, my own work, but it did start with Kenneth as King and Serge Singh back in 2015, bringing me some videos that had triangles done by Richard Ansar, and bringing us the trust technology triangle window. Today, children, we're going through the triangle window, and what a trip it was. Initially, I got involved and went to see Richard, and I've taken what I need to, and I've utilized that relationship, and it was ended some time ago. I'm not affiliated or sponsoring him or working with him anymore. I'm at liberty to do as I see fit. And I got introduced to trust technology in 2015 by brother Serge of the Singh clan, who brought to me a video via Sovereign Paralegals Facebook group by Kenneth Asking, which involved Richard Ansar. It was a tedious link by the universal forces that brought to my mind the triangle, and our eyes were well and truly open, and we've been doing that solidly since 2015, and we've helped turn the game around with you and other channels. So that's the state of play as it is and why. And we're quite good at what we do. We're new in the game, but we're well respected. We have much to learn. We've entered into the private, and we are excited about what this year and the future holds. Yeah, says Simon. All right, that's right. Talked about that 3 years ago, the 12 presumptions of Roman law and the courts and canon law. Boom. You need to look at the 10 commercial legal maxims alongside the 20 lawful England and Wales equitable maxims, and also the presumptions of Roman law, usufruct, unidroit, and the Liber Code. And while you're putting all that in there, then Roy, Stephen, and etc., all of that are housed within our private domain, within the 1,000 or so videos on this channel, and somewhat within splspro.com Facebook that you can find from our domain, our free link there, and also in our free publications. I see there is a lot of chat. The key word, trust, indeed. What is usufruct? Use our fruct. If you don't know what that is, Jesus. Boom. That's what they do. So we can stop that quite easily and simply. We have made it complicated and use lots of words, and I've learned to summarize it, simplify it, and break it down to its bare essentials. We have workshops and seminars being built via the dedicated forums and the domain of SPL's Pro, and we are now working towards saving lives and correcting. Ultimately, we need to recognize these failures, these flaws, these egregious times that we're in, and ultimately learn to hold to account, as Alias 369 and others have done. Kevin and I've watched Kevin do this, and we have as a family. So that's all I need to say for today. Thank you for the 13 thumbs up. 2 thumbs down, eh? Sees my agents and trills are here. Sorry, why would you give me 2? Is it the shirt? Is it the topic? 2 thumbs down. That means we're doing something right, because I'm annoying and pissing somebody off somewhere, which is brilliant. Thank you all for what you do, and like I say, that is horrendous. The permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, also known as the permanent Big Five: China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, the United States. So with us being the United Kingdom, these permanent members were all allies in World War II and the victors of that war, which isn't bad to say the UK of GB exists in and on legal paper format only. So that's why I've included Article 6 of the UNUDHR within our Evidence of Life, Essence and Incarnation. And I trust that helps you with, how we are looking at our positions at the moment. Some have asked, why use United Nations for references? You don't have to. It's not mandatory. It's just something that I've picked up upon that is irrefutable, unlike Magna Carta 2020 and unlike your common law alleged remedies that are failing miserably. So despite the fact man is not exactly a big fan of the United Nations, UN, ununiting of nations, that is a helpful little bit there for you to enforce human rights, should you want to speak in a non-legalese, non-monster term. All right, so what else did I give you? I've given you lots about persons and natural persons and all the types of persons and the references there. Oxford, all right, legalese, God, Bible, Abraham. You're on it. You're on it big and strong. All right. So case law, Banks, Justice Martin versus Mahoney. money was in fact not the property of the bank, as it had been created out of nothing. As soon as the loan agreement was signed, all right, the principal creates that and creates the promissory notes, all right, because we're all in debt and bankrupt. That is, the money does not come out of the bank's existing assets, as the bank is not inventing it. In reality, the bank is putting up nothing of its own except for a theoretical liability on paper, and they monetize and securitize these special purpose vehicles and promissory notes and put them into types of agreements and I've done a lot on this. So banks and money and debt and certain things there, I'd like to let you know that we've got the full handle on that. You'd search for Justice Martin versus Mahoney to do with your own research there, and that's on the .com. There's a PDF there. I think it's on the Facebook Trust as well, so that would help you. Anybody that's doubting or that's new to this, let me put that name into the chat room for you, and you can use our forums. If you are a supporter of splspro.com, you can use this generic word search that we have, global site word search. You can use DuckDuckGo and you can find that for yourself. All right, be empowered, check it out. Yeah, and we will see what else can be done. I'll let you know when Kevin is available, and we'll come back and we'll do another broadcast with that mighty man. And we want you to continue wearing the armor of God. We'd like you to consider helping us, supporting us in any way you can, shape or form, even if it is a thumbs down. Some Latin: in flagrante delicto, Latin, in blazing offence, or sometimes simply in flagrante, Latin, in blazing. It is a legal term used to indicate that a criminal has been caught in the act of committing an offence. Compare corpus delicti. The colloquial caught red-handed and caught rapid are English equivalents. References: Scottish Tories condemn Nicola Sturgeon's power over breaches of the ministerial code, despite loophole clearing the bully Priti Patel, where Boris actually defended her. She wasn't held accountable to breaking the ministerial code. Scottish government accountable only to itself. Protests, Douglas Ross. Boris Johnson rejected identical call for change. Is Nicola Sturgeon a Privy Council member? I believe she is. All right, so that's something else to put on there. It's happening north, south, east and west at the moment. Retain your rights. Your rights haven't been stolen. We'll show you how to effect them. Some of you are doing it already excellently, and you don't need showing. You've learned, you've picked it up. And look at my community pages for further more information. Dave Gorman, why the calendar makes no sense. Thank you for the interaction on that. They're actually catching up with reality. All right, so I'm not going to give you any more waffle. I'm going to say peace and love. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. We will see you in the usual places. Let me just check the room. Spring equinox. Yes, we didn't celebrate that, but well done for noticing. Corpus Delicti. Skull and Bones Day, 22nd of the 3rd. It is if you're in that gang, and if you're such, really, oh wow, it means nothing to me, but I know what you mean, Bosh. Remember Justice Martin versus Mahoney, all right? Made a light shine brighter with each passing day. Malcolm Bird, we love you. He's one of the more mature supporters that we have, and I love the bones of you, Malcolm. I hope this makes you smile, my brother. I replied to your email this morning when I was completing all my admin, and it made me smile, and I'm sure you will have seen that email that I've sent back to you. All right, don't be sorry about Saturday, Stephen. It happens. All right, you was watching the rugby. I hope it paid off for you. You sound like my mum. When I've tried to get in touch with my mum, and I can't, and she's over there in Greece watching Man United play. So sport's good. All right. The maxim, look at the 10 commercial maxims, alias 369, and you will find exactly what that needs to be said there. I have a video on the channel called Lex Mercatoria, which incorporates, it's a big one, but it's got a lot in there for you. if you want to just listen, have a look at Lex Mercatoria on this channel recently, within the last 3 months. Thank you all. Great chat, great group, great trust, one and all. You find us here. I'd like to do this every day. I'd like some resources if we can. Okay, I didn't choose equity. Equity chose me. You didn't choose equity. Equity chose you. So we would like equity is the intent written on a man's heart. Now that says it there, doesn't it, Roy? Bosh, thank you. What do you mean, where will you find that, Stephen? I'm going, be quick. What did I say? I forgot what I said. Where will you find, do you want me to get it for you? Video on this channel. Playlist, my good man, Lex Mercatoria. I'll get it for you now, because and then we're going, we're done. Videos, it's quite an interesting one, and there we go, got it straight here for you. Something which contains a lot of data, a lot of info. It's coming into the feed, it's coming into the room now. I'd like to do this every day, I really would. Unfortunately, we've got to go out and get the paper, the credits and the promises. There you go. As we were talking about Unidroit, you didn't say Liber code, but that comes in there with it. Lex Mercatoria, usufruct, should I say. So that's the link to Lex Mercatoria. All right, and the video is called Lex Mercatoria. Come on, no thanks, go away. Contract maxims, common law, gang masters. So it's doing well, actually. It's one of my stronger videos, and if you're going to make me a piece in your game, don't be surprised if I decide to hooking play. I will call you on it when I catch you cheating and remind you of your own rules, while I publicly expose you for the fraudulent criminals you are, is the thumbnail. All right, so thank you. The long goodbye is finished. Thanks for the thumbs up. Share this, help us to help you. All right, I hope there's some information in there somewhere that could perhaps save a life. You can be helped, informed to save a life. You can save lives, lift people out of depression, bring them to the public Facebook trust, introduce them to Kevin, show them this video, take them to the private. £12 annual credit donation. We need help, we need support, we need to help each other on a community level. And like I say, strength in numbers, knowledge is power. Thank you all. God bless. Creator bless. See you later.